What is going on, y'all? It is the Cave Fan. I'm here with Football with Oz, Austin, for episode 43 of Against the Blitz, and another deep dive episode on tap. We are talking about the Miami Dolphins with the one and only Nico Elite Takes. The timing of this episode is impeccable. Like, it could not have been better. I felt bad for Marcus. It's Marcus Whitman, I think. He does all the deep dives on Twitter. He posts them to his YouTube, and he had just done the Dolphins, and then all of this happened, and he was kind of like crashing out. So condolences to him, because that's brutal. Where for us, on the other hand, it just could not have worked out any better. So I'm sure if you're watching us, you know who our guest is today. But Nico, introduce yourself. Tell them where they could find you on social media if they're not familiar somehow.
Yeah, so I'm Nico, but probably better known as Elite Takes. I've mainly been on TikTok for like the last 5 years, just at Elite Takes, but I'm also pretty active on X, just talking ball every day, even some basketball lately. That's Elite Takes _. I've done a little bit of YouTube and a little bit of Instagram. If you search up Elite Takes, you'll be able to find me on those places.
Yeah, he's right. You most absolutely, I would say with 100% certainty, you have seen a piece of his content somewhere. And that even could be said on like a Bleacher Report post, because I know a couple of your tweets have made it.
Yeah, no, sometimes they get aggravated. It's cool.
So, yeah, you definitely are familiar with our very awesome guest today. But Austin, take it away. What do we have with the Dolphins in episode 43?
Yeah, so it's the same thing that we do every single deep dive. We go position by position. We examine some of the major or underrated moves per position, who they lost, who they gained, why it might hurt, why it might be great. And to start it off, we have the quarterback room. And quarterback, we have the starter locked in, but as we know, it goes without saying, backup quarterback's pretty damn important in Miami. So they lost Tyler Huntley. That experiment failed, and they brought in Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers. So, Nico, I'm actually interested to know, are you a Ewers believer? Like, do you think he can come in and steal that QB2 job and, function the offense if needed?
I mean, honestly, I would say like straight up Ewers is a better fit in this scheme. Like, one thing about him is like he's very familiar with like getting the ball out quick, running RPOs, pushing the ball over the middle of the field. But I am not a fan of his game, from his pocket presence to his deep ball accuracy. I just felt like even though some people might excuse his play last year because he was apparently banged up throughout the year, I just didn't see a guy with like the feel or ball placement of an NFL starting quarterback. And we'll see if he can develop. Like, I just do straight up think that he's good at like doing what you tell him to, like just executing play calls, and playing with some solid timing. And that is definitely my biggest question mark with Zach Wilson. Like, he just hasn't been able to process defenses well throughout his career. He hasn't been able to get the ball out quick. I don't know how much influence Sean Payton had on him in that year in Denver. It's a total mystery, but like, life on the line, Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth. I might throw Ewers in there just because I feel like he has the timing and just willingness to execute play calls and play it safe and get the ball to his guys.
Yeah, I mean, Austin's the biggest Zach Wilson guy I know, so he'll go to battle. Okay. He'll go to battle.
I want to hear the case for Zach Wilson's development.
The case for Zach Wilson was just like, it was not his fault. He was the not his fault guy, but which to me is very true. Like, the Jets were run like a kindergarten, but if anybody were to save him, I really wanted him to go to McVay for a year and see how that worked. But in Miami, the precision, the timing based offense, I don't know how well he'll do, but I do think it's better than Tyler Huntley still.
Yes.
like no matter what.
Yeah. And I felt bad for Huntley. Like, I know that he has had success as a backup quarterback before, but he was just like a horrible fit in that offense. Like, Mike McDaniel was not ready to design things for him in the run game. Like, Tyler Huntley is not like the most accurate timing-based guy. Like, I do feel for him, but I would 100% rather just have someone who's going to be a more willing distributor from the pocket and isn't as reliant on plays outside of structure or the run game, for Mike McDaniel at least.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler Huntley was the worst fit I possibly could have thought of for. It's like putting Tyler Huntley in the Dolphins offense is like putting Cooper Rush in the Ravens offense right now. It just feels so weird what the plan is with these backups. And it went as poorly as you could ever imagine.
Yes.
So
you couldn't get the ball to anyone.
No, and it actually was the reason why Mike McDaniel, at least in my opinion, caught as much heat as he did. Like, things were bad, but then when Huntley went in, it almost looked like they weren't even professionals anymore. And I think that was really what drove the Mike McDaniel hate, was like how bad the offense got when his guys weren't on the field. And I think that was a big indictment, at least from my perspective. But speaking of not his fault guys, I have notoriously been a Tua hater over the course of the last few years, but I honestly do feel like he fit the description of not his fault last year. And as I was researching this for this podcast, I just came to realize how bad things really were on the offensive line. And I think it restricted McDaniel. It restricted Tua. Like, he had the lowest time to throw of any quarterback in the entire league at like 2.3 seconds, which was his career lowest, which for a guy that throws it as fast as he does, for him to hit a career low in that metric again is like a miracle. It's like, it just goes to show how little faith they had to not only stand in the pocket and get something deep downfield, but McDaniel also knowing his quarterback's limitations. It's like, I can't even risk it. So I think he was also stuck between a rock and a hard place. So hopefully things are a little bit different from a Bills fan's perspective. I'll like to see him rot, but I just was amazed when I saw that number. Like, for him to set that low of a mark again just goes to show how bad it was.
Yeah, and I think it kind of got to the point where, last year I think was like the biggest correction from the league and how they were playing the Dolphins offense in terms of like too high coverages. We talk about this all the time. But like the Rams set a record, I think, in our Monday night game for the most too high coverage ever played, which was like 95%. It was absurd. And I almost think they just kind of gave up on trying to develop anything down the field because they were just like, it's getting taken away regardless. Jonnu Smith, here's another check down for you, buddy. and that's kind of like a fair summary of the offense for most of the year. And I do feel like when Tua was on the field, for most games, not that Bills game on Thursday Night Football where he threw like 3 interceptions, but for most games, he was doing the best that he could. Like it really was a very tough situation, and he played some very clean and honestly consistent football.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point too, bringing up earlier. We were saying that like Mike McDaniel probably kind of like, I think he does kind of listen a little bit to what people say about him.
He does.
Because like I'm not sure if you knew about all the allegations of the Dolphins being like a soft football team.
Oh yeah.
All that. Yeah. Like it kind of did feel true to an extent. Like the offensive line, the run game, everything felt small. Everything felt speed based, but nothing felt physical. Nothing felt powerful. And it did kind of feel like we felt some changes moving towards the physicality side, like the signing of Ollie Gordon, Alexander Madison, and kind of moving away from like the Raheem Mostert era, if you will. So like, do you think that Ollie Gordon can carve out any kind of role in this offense, or do you think this is like the HN train?
I think Ollie Gordon like definitely is going to be our guy in short yardage. Like previously, that was kind of, I don't know if you guys know about like Chris Brooks, but he was like our senior, and he was like the biggest running back on our team. Then we cut him. Then he went to Green Bay, and everyone got upset. But we have been kind of searching for that power back. And as much as I'm not like a big fan of Ollie Gordon, like I wasn't thrilled when we drafted him, especially with Damian Martinez on the board, who's just like one of like honestly like a really good like gap scheme running back prospect with a lot of power between the tackles. I do think that we're going to see Ollie Gordon score some touchdowns. I think we're going to see him on some 3rd and 1s. And I think that although Achane, I think, is maybe tougher than people probably give him credit for, like he can play through contact a good amount. I think he's a very talented guy. I do think that Mike McDaniel is going to embrace more of that committee approach and more of that physicality from Gordon, just because he is significantly bigger than anyone else in that running back room.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would go his way in short yardage, even if it's like a tell that we're going to run it right down their throat if he's on the field.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you guys had Achane starting, it like Raheem Mostert didn't feel like he had a role for it. Like that was kind of always his role was like I know he did have the year of like how many touchdowns did he have in what 2023?
20.
It was
Really?
it was about 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it kind of feels like he's a goal line back, but just like I think that was just a matter of circumstance. I don't think he actually is like this actual, Jamal Williams style power back that can
No.
actually pound it through. Like that's just kind of how it ended up being. But dude, Raheem Mostert, like wasn't that him on Twitter like yesterday, like just thrashing the Dolphins?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it felt like LaShawn McCoy like back in Philadelphia style, where like he left and he was just calling out everybody.
Yeah. I saw him make a comment about like good for Jonnu, like get out of there because I don't you play well and they ship you out, or you play
Yeah.
well they don't want to pay you. It was something to that extent, but that was what I saw. I don't know. Did he go on like a tirade after that?
I don't even know if it was a tirade after that. I mean, he was just really upset that they're cleaning house apparently.
yeah, no, it was just like be a Pro Bowler on the Dolphins, get treated like crap,
Yeah.
go ball out. Don't I don't blame him too much if that's how he wants to feel. I'm honestly very happy to see people calling out the Dolphins culture constantly. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully it does knock some sense into those guys, because I do think that there was legitimate nonsense going on last year.
Really?
Still a propeller of that nonsense on the team, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Well, maybe not for long. There was talks, but honestly, there wasn't much really going on with the running back room aside from Ollie Gordon. So,
Well, I think
why not then? Unless you have something, Gabe.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know. I just came to realize how bad the offensive line on the inside was, and it's like I almost think Achane was kind of a not my fault merchant either. Like he really he wasn't a back meant to get hit behind the line of scrimmage as often as he did. Like 50% of the time he was getting whacked back there, and I think it probably just took a toll on him as the season progressed, especially like. The guy's like running dig routes sometimes and like getting whacked in the middle of the field. Like this guy's body's not built for this. So he goes from in 2023, he's getting sweeps that have, a red carpet to the end zone where he can just run by everybody, to 2024 where he's getting like destroyed by, the things in Mario, like the lava worlds where the things are like coming down the spikes and they're just like railing the ground. It's like that's what it felt like he was dealing with inside. And I think it just kind of really disrupted him. And I'm kind of glad that, Ollie Gordon, even like Alex Madison was added to this backfield, which not great, but it goes to show to what, they're kind of listening to the whole, like, got to be bigger, got to be more powerful. So now there's definitely defined roles in this backfield. So who knows who ends up making it? Like they might go with all five. I don't know who ends up making the cut, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be those four: Achane, Wright, Madison, and Gordon. And I don't know if Madison is going to be here forever. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we end up cutting him, but I definitely think Ollie Gordon's here to stay because he just has that very distinct purpose. If we want to actually get more physical, so we'll see.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and like something that kind of surprised me too, and I think I'm probably referring to the guy you're talking about. Is the Dolphins kind of seem to be in this like we're getting rid of every bad thing, like every bad chemistry on our team. We're getting rid of Ramsey, like, but they're keeping Tyreek Hill for the time being, and that's what I'm confused about because it felt like headache wise, he's the biggest headache on the team still.
Absolutely, I mean, for him to like come out after our Week 18 game and be like, yeah, I want to leave. And then like Drew Rosenhaus is doing all this backpedaling on the Pat McAfee show. And he's like, Tyreek loves Miami. I'm like, I'm sure he loves Miami, but I don't love him anymore. If he keeps acting like this, like there's just, I don't even know how to feel. I don't know how substantial they are, but there were rumors that like players were late to practice and maybe hinting towards him.
He is players.
I don't know. Like if I had to guess anyone on that team, it would probably be him. Like it's just a tough one, and he's always like trying to make content about like his clothing brand and stuff like that. it feels like so much off the field antics, and I'm really not trying to be like the shut up and dribble guy, but I'm just like, man, like, are you really in it for this? Are you really like locked into our culture? Like, are you really
Yeah.
the team? Because it really seems like you're just here for yourself to have a good time and build your brand in Miami.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel like there's like a life cycle in a receiver's life. And like once they hit the part of like self-promotion for their brand, like it's a steep decline. It is a huge steep decline. So
I
yeah.
very much see him having like some sort of troll tweeter arc when he retires.
Oh
Similarly
God, yeah.
to AB, like that would not shock me whatsoever. Not nearly as bad as him, I would hope, but
it takes like
for sure.
It takes one hit though, and like he absolutely could be there. You know, could be bad. But Miami did make 2 receiver additions that I thought were both crazy underrated and just really, really good. Number one being Nick Westbrook-Akine. I'm not sure how much Nick Westbrook-Akine tape you've watched over the last few months, but I've watched a lot, and I am a massive fan.
Yeah, and I think like the biggest thing with him is just like, more on that physicality note. Like he's a really nice blocker. He brings like physicality in the red zone. He was catching all those touchdowns last year, and that's something that I would honestly be worried about the Dolphins is their red zone passing game without a guy like Jonnu Smith, who really was like he really was like their physical threat when they had to have it. So those 2 things certainly excite me in it, and I just feel like he's a very grounded guy who's gonna be locked in on all 3 downs, and that's something that we need.
Yeah. He does feel like a culture guy.
Yes,
like, very much so. And I'm glad that they do maybe have some stability. Maybe it's like yin and yang. You have whatever bad. I don't know. Is yin or yang bad? But either way, Tyreek is the yang or yin, and Akini Westbrook is maybe the opposite. So it's like,
and Jalen Waddle's just hanging out. He's just in the middle. I'll love him. I'll love him forever. But yeah, Tyreek, you gotta go.
Waddle's so unproblematic. It just I just want to see him be the one. Like I just want to turn back the clock to like 2021 at this point. When he was our guy,
Yeah, I mean, what did he have, like 1,300 yards one time? Like I think he was
like Tyreek was his best season by far.
Man, I missed that.
You're stuck with him, Mr. Tyreek Hill. So
no one wants him.
What?
Shocked.
What do you think his season looks like? Do you think it's, he kind of returns to his old self, or do you think he's like got 723 yards, a wrist injury, and 3 arrests halfway through the season? What do you think? 2025 looks like for Tyreek?
I mean, personality traits aside, Tyreek on the field, I would say, is another not his fault candidate. Like I didn't see a guy that like wasn't moving as well. Like I just saw a guy that just kept getting bracketed over the top. And it was just hard to get him those one-on-ones down the sideline that they usually get. And, there was certainly some times where I was like, what does this effort do? Like, I remember there's this play against the Colts. I think it's like a slot fade. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think it went viral on Twitter when it happened. But Tyler Huntley just throws him this ball on the sideline, and he just like jogs off the field. Well, it's still in the air. He doesn't even play it.
DJ Moore style.
No, but like, I was trying to watch a lot of Tyreek tape because I'm like, his numbers are so down. Like, is he actually cooked? But then I turn on the tape and I'm like, man, he still looks so twitchy. And Tyler Huntley's just not getting him the ball over the middle of the field. Like, none of those targets are there for him. I just feel like if he were to get Tua back, like he would definitely get back to like that 1,200, 1,300 yard range. I don't know if he's going to, go for records anytime soon, back to what he was in his peak years, like 2 or so years ago. But I do think there are ways to get him the ball underneath that he just didn't quite get. Will the explosive plays diminish? I do think so, but like he is still, in my opinion, very, very problematic and in a huge mismatch athletically for basically anyone who's lining up across from him.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he was the best receiver in football when he was going crazy. Like, and I would say at his peak, probably top 7 all time. I mean, there was never a receiver
it's
like
him. It's like a top 5 peak, I think, potentially.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, he had back-to-back 1,700 yard seasons, right? Like that's who does that?
Yeah,
at 5'10".
Oh God.
He had
Yeah.
300 yards in one quarter, like 4 years ago. 4 years ago.
I remember that one. Yeah, no, that was special.
Shit.
Yeah. I mean, Miami also made a move that I kind of liked, and it kind of like makes me more excited about the depth of this team, and that's Andrew Armstrong.
Yes.
Just like
Yes.
someone I didn't catch that they got him. I loved him all year long, but I like looking, a couple days ago, I was like, no way Miami got him.
Yeah, no.
Dude.
I thought like, usually after the draft, like Rapp and Schefter are breaking like all the biggest names on where they'll be signing, and no one reported on that. It was just like this random Dolphins beat writer. And it was like, his agent tells me he will be signing with the Dolphins. It had like 20 likes, but I was like, let's go, man, because Armstrong is one of my favorite late round guys in the draft.
Yeah, if they picked him in the 5th round, I would have been like, good pick. 4th round, little bit of a reach, but good pick. Undrafted, that's A++++. That's insane.
I'm so glad there's a fellow Armstrong truther.
Yes. I'm not giving him a comp, but when you watch him move and then you watch CeeDee Lamb move, you're like, hey, there's a little something there. There's a little something there.
He's certainly not. Yeah, no, he doesn't really fit the explosive play mold of our offense, but that's a good thing for me. I just want more chain mover, catch everything, smooth off the line. Like he's not quite like Nick Westbrook-Akine type of physical, but he is a big body and he's very reliable. And I do absolutely think like he has a chance to surpass some of like these smaller backup guys like, Malik Washington and Taj Washington and D. Eskridge. Like it would not shock me whatsoever if he's wide receiver 5 going into the season. Like we'll see, because I really do think he's a good player and his consistency is going to wow people during camp and preseason.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Especially like now that tight end is up in the air, like a bigger bodied receiver might be a little bit more of an importance,
Yeah.
Not having Jonnu, like you said before, in the red zone. You need guys that are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", like these guys. So it'll be pretty big.
Yeah, I had someone come into my TikTok live the other day and say, thoughts on Andrew Armstrong? I'm like, what? I'm like, who? And like, I forgot the guy even existed. And he goes, the Dolphins receiver. I'm like, looking him up again, and I'm like, holy shit, he did. I didn't know he went there either. Like I saw where Seth McLaughlin went. He was somebody that ended up getting picked up. Dolak ended up going undrafted, if I remember properly.
Yeah,
like,
the Rams.
It's like all of the bigger names. I felt like I was paying attention, and I was like, Andrew, who? And he just casually said it like I'm just supposed to know who this guy is. Top of my head. Like I do like endless draft content all my life. It's like, I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. It's like, oh, the undrafted guy. Oh, yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah. No,
well, there was.
Go ahead. My bad.
No, I was just gonna kind of put it towards the next segment, because Miami had another pretty good undrafted pick. A lot of people are worried about the tight end spot, but like Jalen, no one's talking about Jalen Conyers right now. It's like, I feel like there needs to be a little bit more of a conversation about him.
Absolutely. Like to me, if we want to get into the tight end group, I am like 1,000 times more intrigued by Conyers than Julian Hill or Tanner Connor or Pharaoh Brown. Are we kidding me? Pharaoh Brown in 2025. The last memory I have of Pharaoh Brown was going to Texans training camp in like 2022 when they were mega tanking. And he just looked like the stiffest guy I've ever seen on an NFL field. So, between him and Waller, him and Darren Waller, like it would not shock me whatsoever if Conyers is like the best tight end on this group. If this is what the group is going to be, it would not shock me at all.
I keep saying it and everyone just says like, who? Like, who is that? Like, he's like not even on like any of their roster, like any of their depth charts online. It's just like, you just have to like pay attention to their offseason moves to know he's even there. And it's weird because he's like, I feel like him as a receiver versus Julian Hill is like night and day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he was mentioned, but I was surprised to see how many Tanner Connor fans there are. Like there is a strong camp of Tanner Connor fans. And like as soon as Jonnu Smith got dealt, I saw a bunch of people saying, Tanner Connor time? Is it finally time for Tanner Connor? I'm like,
is that Mike McDaniel tweeting that to you? Like he's the biggest fan, but like he's 230 pounds.
Dude,
like Like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah, no, they've just got like a bunch of like auxiliary blockers back there and like borderline fullbacks. Like, I don't even know what to make of it. Like, just give me Hunter Long back. Like, he was part of that Jalen Ramsey trade 2 years ago. I would take Hunter Long over any of these guys, man. I never thought I would be upset to not have him on the team. And now I am, because like he's the only like serious like potential do-it-all guy we have, besides maybe Con- I don't know.
Myers is well-rounded. He just like hasn't played enough to know.
I think the only serious guy, period, in that room. It's like you look at that room, it's like, what are we looking at here? Like, I have a fun game to play with Darren Waller here. It feels like the perfect would you rather player to do this with. So I have 2 categories. I have tight ends that are in the league that they could have traded for that I felt like were actually realistic. And then I have free agents. So I'll do the free agents first.
This is going to go so bad. This is going to just make me feel so sad.
All right. Austin, Darren Waller or Gerald Everett?
Jesus, they're the same age. I don't know. Probably Everett, because he played last year for the Bears a little bit, but like, I don't know. They're both washed, and they both should be retired.
Nico,
I'll take Everett, man. At least he has like like he said, he played football last year. Like that's smart for me. Like, I don't know.
Well, what about this guy, Darren Waller or CJ Uzomah?
Waller. I've watched enough CJ Uzomah in my life. He was bad 5 years ago. Yeah, he should also be rapping. He should be a rapper right now.
Joe Burrow changed his life. That is a legitimate
yes.
Quarterback changed their life type of player. And no,
he did to him and Hayden Hurst back to back. It was ridiculous.
Darren Waller or Hayden Hurst? He's also on.
I'll take Waller.
I'm taking Waller. Yeah, at this point, they're also like the same age. Weirdly,
this is an interesting one. Darren Waller or Nick Van Nett?
Waller.
Where was Nick Van Nett last year? The Titans?
I think he might have been.
Titans had like 5 like, tight ends that I feel like are on a different team every single year. I'll take Waller.
Yeah.
He was on the Titans. You are correct. Holy crap, this guy's been everywhere. Seattle, New Orleans, Tennessee, Denver, Pittsburgh, the Chargers, and the Giants. Holy crap.
It's like the Dennis Schroeder of tight ends, but not nearly as even decent.
All right, a couple more. Darren Waller or Jody Fortson?
Darren Waller.
I'll take Waller. I mean, Fortson was on a team, and he did nothing for us. So I'll take Waller.
Oh, he was.
He was. Chiefs legend, though, more importantly.
Yeah, that's where I remember him from.
Same.
Darren Waller or Peyton Hendershot?
Oh my! Also a Chief. Let's go with Waller. We're going Waller.
All I remember about Peyton Hendershot is like the worst drop pass I've ever seen that got picked off.
Yes.
Dak Prescott like mega interception season.
That was like his first career target or something stupid, and he just went right through his hands.
All right, the last free agent, Darren Waller or OJ Howard?
Oh my! Isn't he retired too?
I think he is.
I swear OJ Howard retired too.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Oh my!
Based off of college tape, OJ Howard, I thought he was like the next Gronk, but right now it's Waller.
Waller. I'll take Waller. Maybe that was the guy that was at Texans camp 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was. Wow. He was almost a Bengal. He was like this close to being a Bengal, and he wasn't. Thank God, actually.
500 yards with Burrow,
Yeah, he made a bet.
All right, now for the guys that are actually in the league. This is a little bit more thought-provoking. Darren Waller or Noah Fant?
Well, so it depends what you're giving up for these guys. Like, are we just flipping this 5th for these guys that they got?
Well, let's put it this way. Darren Waller was just acquired for, I think, a 6th, right?
Yeah.
A guy that was
conditional
not playing
6th.
Football.
It was a trade up from the 7th to the 6th for the Giants, I suppose, in 2027.
Yeah.
So
I would.
You can safely assume these guys would cost at least a round more of a pick, right?
Not a problem. Yeah.
So
I'll probably take Fant at this point. And he also again played football last year and started, and he wasn't the worst thing ever.
That one's tough for me because Fant can't block, and Darren Waller can block a bit, but he doesn't want to block. So
Literally.
Like those plays
retired
that made him
over
retire
time.
were genuinely good reps by him playing fullback and clearing up holes for
Oh,
Saquon on
fullback
Connor.
Darren Waller.
Yeah, I'll take Waller. Screw it. I'll take Waller.
Okay.
I'll
I
take
like
Waller.
it. Okay, Darren Waller or Tyler Higbee?
Give me Higbee. I'm a Higbee believer. I love
He had
Higbee.
a good game in the wild card against the Vikings.
Hmm? Yeah.
He looked better recovered from an ACL injury than Hawkinson. So I feel like Hawkinson looked just. I'm a Hawkinson hater. I'll accept it. All right, these last ones are bad. Darren Waller or Greg Dulcich?
Oof. Probably Waller.
I think Waller.
I guess.
I
mean, Dulcich hasn't played football either.
On him. Yeah.
Like he's just like been bouncing around. I feel like quietly.
I liked him out of UCLA too. That was weird. That was a weird, very short era in Denver.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like their guy for a short time there. Like I remember one offseason, it was like Greg Dulcich's time, and then
give him a dynasty.
I remember that.
So Darren Waller or Jelani Woods?
Oh God, Waller.
God, one of my all-time draft crushes. Wow.
No. Gotta be Waller.
Gotta make a choice.
I'll take Waller. I mean, Big Mo is still the man in that room, so I'm taking Waller.
The last one, Darren Waller or Taysom Hill?
Well, I mean, are we playing just tight end? Because probably Waller, but I mean, isn't Taysom Hill like 35 too?
He's coming off a bad knee injury too.
Yeah, I'll take Waller.
Yeah, no, Hill had some good moments last year, but he is coming off that injury. I'll take Hill actually because they're both very big question marks. Older guys with injury issues. I feel like McDaniel would like Taysom Hill.
Yeah. I was trying to decide or determine who would fit this description at this point in the offseason, because if the Dolphins were exploring Darren Waller type options, then I would assume guys like Mark Andrews were completely off the table. So like if this is where they went to solve this problem, then they must have been desperate, and those names are desperate. So I couldn't figure out what was worse than.
I've been praying for Brevin Jordan. I want them to trade for Brevin Jordan. So
I almost put him on.
They won't do it.
I could totally see him filling that sort of skill set, and he's a good yak guy. I think.
Yeah,
he is.
I mean, he also doesn't play football much, but like. He was when he beat the Browns in the playoffs,
Yeah, no. Y'all remember that play.
Oh, well. Yeah.
I think that's all I got for my Darren Waller. Would you rather?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I've heard a ton of Michael Mayer talks because he's like one of the only tight ends that have ever actually been like involved in off-season trade request type things. But I feel like that's all cooled down. And I'm almost scared that Miami's done.
I think I heard a report that they called about Mayer and the Raiders were just like, no, not trading him. So I mean that would have made sense for me. Like, bring in a younger guy who has 3-down potential. I would have been all for that. They might be done. They might wait till camp. I think this is the group till like mid-August for sure to start.
What if he's just really good? Like what if Waller just comes back and he's actually just like really good?
He's tearing guys up over the seam. I mean,
yes,
that'd be something.
I saw a tweet from Hayden Winks saying that Darren Waller just competed in the NYC High Rocks, which I guess, if I'm even pronouncing that properly, is an insane workout event. And he looks jacked and he scored pretty well. So
hell yeah.
You want some optimism. Okay. There you go.
I mean, freaking Jimmy Graham came back like 2 years ago and caught like 4 touchdowns. So if that can happen, Darren Waller, who was like 4 years younger than that at that time, can come back and be serviceable.
I'm just so worried he's gonna have like an 80-yard game and then like go on IR immediately. Like I could totally see that happening. Like, oh my God, we've got this demon. We're getting him the ball in space. He caught 2 touchdowns and now his hamstring is bothering him. So we'll see him in November.
That would be so on brand.
That would be very on brand.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It kind of just seems like it's hard to judge because I feel like they're kind of changing their not changing their scheme, but they're just kind of changing their personality a little bit. Like obviously Darren Waller doesn't fit the physical brand of football, but like they love Julian Hill, like they love Pharaoh Brown, and they block their butt off. So that might just be what they're kind of going for. But what we did see some changes in was the interior offensive line, and they made two signings that I was a really, really, really big fan of: Jonas Avenaya, guard from Arizona, and James Daniels. So I'm curious about your thoughts on those two signings.
Yeah, no, they absolutely filled the mold of like beefier interior guys, good run blockers, guys that do have experience in zone. I think Daniels was one of the best zone run blockers last year before he went down, and that's obviously a question mark. We haven't really even seen updates on him going into the season, so I assume that's a good sign. I don't know. I think I have no idea when he's actually going to get on the field. But I really do like those two guys. I think the much needed change, and Liam Eichenberg is off my field, so that's a big win in itself.
Yeah,
and I'm very excited about Jonah, especially because I think that he could be the future at many different positions on the line potentially going forward. But right now, I think he's slotted in at right guard. But I think it's like a good balance on top of like the tiniest center in the league in Aaron Brewer, who is a good run blocker. But like,
I love Aaron Brewer. Yeah,
we're gonna try to we're trying to get push between the tackles, and I think that they will definitely have a lot more success with that this year.
Yeah, that's not like Aaron Brewer's game, but get him to the second level though.
Yes,
it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Have him loop around. We could get a little Daniels Brewer action. Oh, there's plenty to work with there.
As long as it's not Liam Eichenberg and Jackson Carman. Yeah, cover your ears, Bengals fans. Oh my god. Dude, don't listen to that.
Against Houston. I was there.
Oh
man.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of not shocked because it does feel on brand, but like I'm kind of impressed that they're just going to run Patrick Paul out there at left tackle and not really even go after like a vet swing tackle to back him up. Maybe they have Larry Borum, but please don't do that.
No.
It's just Patrick Paul on an island, but I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that excites me the most about Patrick Paul is like, number one, I like the pick in the first place because I was like, Armstead is still awesome, but he's going to miss games, and this is the perfect opportunity to get some mentorship time in. And even though Armstead has retired now, he's still going to be around the team and probably giving Patrick Paul some pointers. And I think Patrick Paul has a lot of potential. I think he had some really nice reps against Daniil Hunter in that same Texans game where Jackson Carman was getting shredded. So that kind of excites me. I was a fan of him coming out of Houston, and I know he's raw, but he's got size. Like he's another guy that's going to give us more size on the line, and he can move a little bit in space. I remember him and Jalen Wright were connecting for some fun runs in the preseason last year. So, I am optimistic. I am optimistic. It might be a little ugly at first, but like that's a guy I think could really come along for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys pretty much covered all of it. There's not really much else I feel like going on with the Dolphins offensive line. I mean, it's really just the interior. That's the story of this team. That's where it was blowing up from last year. And they I guess the big question is, do you feel like they did enough to shore up the problems that were, kind of existing?
Did they do enough? I don't think the pass protection is going to be very good next year, but I do think the run game is going to improve. So, they were bottom 10 in success rate last year, even lower in EPA, which almost surprised me because, they were breaking off some explosive runs at times, but there was just no down to down consistency in the gotta have it moments. And I think they will convert many more of those gotta have it moments. And that's all I really need, because I do trust to get the ball out quick and have a solid pressure to sack ratio, even if the pass protection still has ways to go.
Yeah.
I speaking of like the whole, run game being improved. I mean, they sucked in short yardage. Like I saw a couple numbers where in 2024 they were like they ranked 31st in first down rate and with 1 or 2 yards to go, which is just like atrocious. Like the shortest distance they may look impossible sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it just allows them to simplify things, in short yardage situations.
Yeah. Like it kind of felt like that on defense too a little bit. Like from everyone's complaints, like everyone loves Zach Seiler, but like they're like, we need size, like we need beef. We need a interior of just straight up beef. And they did that. Like Ken Grant was a very divisive pick. But I'm a pretty big fan. Ken Grant and Jordan Phillips.
Yeah. I mean, Ken Grant, our very first mock draft, I think we did, Austin, I had Ken Grant to the Dolphins because I said something along the lines of it would be irresponsible for them not to go and attack the inside. And then once all the Jalen Ramsey rumors came out and stuff, I was like, it would be irresponsible for them not to get a defensive back. But
yeah.
It's like it got to a point where it's like anything would help. And they took away one of the best players in the entire first round, in the entire draft, in my opinion. I think Ken Grant was one of the I don't know. I don't think the gap between him and Mason Graham was exceptionally large.
No.
So, especially to get him 7 picks later. So I think that was a big win.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's exactly who I wanted them to take, and
really
the nerves were up when the pick came in, and I was just super pleased because I think that he's gonna be great next to Sealer. Like that's a very complimentary duo to me.
I mean, Dolphins fans, it felt divisive. I know some people really liked him, but some people had him as like a second round grade. So a lot of people felt that was a bit of a reach. A lot of people wanted, like he was saying, DB. At that point, people were like, Will Johnson, please. Like it is Will Johnson or nothing. They ends up going, a full round later. But a lot of people were kind of mad about it. But now looking at like the entire full roster, looking at the rest of the interior D line, Jones, Jordan Phillips, like I'm actually pretty optimistic about it.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's got to be one of the better groups in the league, like especially when you compare them to like a team like the Chargers after losing Puna.
Oh God,
like, there's a big difference, and there are some teams that are set, and other teams like Dallas too. Like they're gonna be on the right side of history, I think, with teams that
yeah.
out in the middle this year. And teams that don't.
Yeah, and then. Really next position to move on to, edge rusher. There was not a single move, really. Like not a single one. But the big part is they have 2 really talented players that have not been able to stay healthy on a football field since they've been drafted. And like I haven't stayed fully up to date on if Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are like 100% good to go. But like especially pairing him with Chop Robinson, I feel like you guys have a top 10 edge rusher group in the league, barring their knees stay put together.
Yeah, I mean, the latest report is that they're expected to be ready for the regular season, which is great. But we also don't know if they'll stay healthy throughout the regular season. But Chop had a really great year, like absolutely everything that you could have hoped he would have been as like this speed finesse rusher. Like he was just getting to the quarterback constantly. Some of his numbers were like even at the top in terms of like total pressures, and he had a lot of impact plays. A lot of plays with Calais Campbell, which makes me sad to see him go. They were teaming up for and wreaking some havoc, especially when Phillips and Chubb went down. But that's a great group in my opinion. I'm going to project one of Phillips or Chubb to miss like half the season. I feel like that's a reasonable expectation, but like pair either of those guys up with Chop, and that's easily an above average duo.
Yeah, and not to erase Mo Kamara from existence, because I was a massive believer.
Yes,
and I still am. I still am a massive believer in Mo Kamara, given the opportunity. And Quentin Bell, whatever he's doing.
Yeah, he's there somewhere.
He's there.
Well, I think it's like that group is so boom or bust. It feels like like the ceiling is so high when you look at it on paper, but it just could collapse at any second. And that's, like you guys have alluded to, that's exactly what's been happening. And, I think the interior being so much better will alleviate some pressure for them to produce, but hopefully they just stop the run a little bit better than they have the last couple of years, because that's been, kind of their Achilles heel, especially throughout the course of last year. So that's what Ken Grant is for. And I think that'll allow the guys on the outside to really go to work when someone that huge exists on your football field.
Yeah.
Away.
Yeah, I mean, holistically, their run defense was not bad last year. It's like borderline top 10, but their big game run defense was really bad. And all I think about is that Thanksgiving Packers game where Jacobs and Chris Brooks were just tearing them up over and over. Absolutely no answers. And they just gave up after like the first quarter. So Grant give me a Big Ten guy. Absolutely. Give me a Big Ten guy.
Cold weather games. Like we need that. We need that bad.
Absolutely. We need some more shades of the Wolverine style football. Absolutely.
I know. I look-y feel like Jordan Brooks plays like that too.
Oh,
yeah. I know like you have Dodson and he's more of like a coverage backer, but like Jordan Brooks, of all things, not being a coverage backer, is one of my favorite run defenders in the league. That guy is way more of a tank than I thought, like watching the tape back.
He's got good feel and obviously very explosive working downhill. Me is one of, I think, I was looking at the numbers today when I was putting together my linebacker rankings, and he seems to me like a top 10 run defender for sure, and that aligns with the tape. In comparison to like David Long, who had a great 2023, and then he gets onto the field this year and he's just missing tackle after tackle, and he gets benched, and then we trade for Dotson and he plays well. And I do like that linebacker duo. I feel pretty good. I think both of those guys are above average, and Brooks is like borderline top 5-ish, maybe in the league.
Hey, you should throw him on that list.
Yeah,
just throw him on that list. I will not be mad at you. I will defend you in the comments if you do.
You might get attacked. You'll get attacked regardless of who you put on there. But that one, especially him being a Dolphin, gotta tread lightly. You'll get accused of home biasy.
This front seven has pluses at every position you can think of. Like it's looking good. I think it's looking real good.
And it's like versatile too. Like they're not all playing like the same brand. Like there's coverage guys, there's speed attack, there's power attack. There's guys that can hold the line. Like it's shaping out to be pretty nice. But like the only question I really had is like, I feel like Miami's linebacker crew has kind of been a bit of a revolving door the last few years. Like they've just been trying guy after guy after guy. But where's Channing Tindall at? Where is he?
He is probably done because they brought in Willie Gay. I think that he just might be our third linebacker. To be honest, we just haven't seen too much of Tindall, and Jerome Baker was getting run for a while. I didn't hate him. And so it is starting to become sort of this revolving door of like your favorite average linebacker. Times above average.
Like was Tindall a second or was he a third round pick?
He was a third round pick right after Chenal.
That would have been nice.
Oh, we passed on Chenal. He went right after, and now he's like one of the best run defenders in the league. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, and I remember like Tindall, like he had some believers, like second round believers. Like if he was a first rounder, I wouldn't be mad kind of guys. And like he kind of redshirted, and everyone's like, okay, he's coming in this year, and then he just never really saw the field, like ever.
Yeah, no, strange. It is very weird. I mean, he's just been on like special teams, and I was like, man, year 2, year 3 might just be one of our better all around 3-down linebackers. Like, he was playing next to Nakobe Dean and pretty good. So I was surprised. Absolutely.
Well, I think it's time to address the elephant of this defense, the corner room. What are we doing here? Like what do you think gave them confidence to trade Jalen Ramsey away and not get a corner in return? Like they're addressing safety, but they're like, we have a guy in this corner room that can hold it down. Like, who do you think that was?
That's a great question. I mean, Darth Cater is like fine in the slot. Like he's been a fine player for multiple years now. Definitely going to be a stark drop off with those nickel packages and what Weaver can do with him compared to Ramsey. I mean, honestly, Storm Duck had like some impressive moments. I think that he is like a very tenacious run defender himself, which is an easy way to get a coaching staff and people in the building to like you. Cam Smith has just been a disaster in coverage. Like every time he gets onto the field, there's a coverage bust, or he's just getting beat over the top. I don't think that this is a sign of faith in him. I think that he's just kind of buried on that depth chart. And if anything, they might be excited about a guy like Jason Marshall, who they just drafted and had good tape at Florida, but he also gets injured. So if I were to put my money on the two outside guys, it would probably be Marshall and Storm Duck. I think those might be
Storm Duck, I've seen a lot of love for Artie Burns lately. Like I hear a lot of people talking about, go look at his tape recently. It's been better. I have not. By the way, I have not watched Artie Burns recently.
I don't even know where he was last year.
I think Seattle for like a day. Yeah, I think he just had enough to register on PFF, and he's PFF's number 1 ranked corner from last year, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have the best corner in the league on your team now. It's incredible. Good for you guys.
Yeah, I mean that. My question is like, would you rather have addressed the safety room at the expense of the cornerback room, or left the cornerback room the way it was and we're comfortable with what the safeties looked like? If that makes sense. I think it does.
I mean, probably corner. Like that's a more valuable position to me. And especially because of how Anthony Weaver likes to, blitz his corners sometimes. And he asks them to do more, I think, than his safeties. But I don't know. It wasn't going to be, neither were going to be good regardless. And I think like probably they probably felt like the safety room, they could make the safety room better than they could the cornerback room if they invested resources, like just getting veterans in free agency. And now we see in the trade market, like this free agency corner class, like outside of DJ Reed, Carlton Davis, Ward.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to pay for any of those guys. So,
No.
I mean, it's hard to say they did the best they could, but
there are some names still out there though. Like a Kendall Fuller reunion, possibly. There's still Asante Samuel. If Asante Samuel's neck is good to go, like that might be an option. Mike Hilton, Rasul Douglas. There's some names I'd probably tried out there over Artie Burns, but
no, I don't see a reason why we don't give Fuller a chance. I mean, he was not bad for us. He missed time, but I don't think he was horrible. He has experience in the system, and Samuel, he's played in similar defensive schemes. So,
well, it's like the confusing thing. It's like they would have rather went out and traded Ramsey away, or should I say, they would rather just go and get Minka instead of addressing, another corner in Kendall Fuller or potentially like Asante Samuel. Like, why is it? Just maybe they're not done here. We're talking about whether they're done at tight end or not. Like maybe this is the room where they go out and acquire someone, right before the season starts, because it really is like bad. Like it's not even like funny bad. It's just like flat out bad.
Yeah. I mean, we're any sort of injury away from a very bad player being on the field. And right now we're running out like gritty, borderline practice squad caliber guys, but they're gritty. So they're going to give them a chance, I guess, until deeper into camp. Like this is very much a team that I could see making moves like later in August. And maybe they're quiet for now, but I don't know.
I can't believe there's not any Ethan Bonner talk. Unreal. Unreal. Put him out there.
I mean, it's like, I am a firm believer in defensive fronts making any secondary look a lot better than they might actually be. And I think maybe if this is what the room looks like, that's what the hope is. They just devour quarterbacks in a couple seconds. So there's just not much responsibility. But, not only are you an injury away from a very bad defensive back being on the field, but you're an injury away from Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb, who are very prone to missing games, away from your pass rush diminishing pretty substantially. And then these guys have way more responsibility and are potentially covering for even longer. So it is just, I don't know what else they could have done. I guess it's hard to sit back and say what they did wrong, but it certainly is there are a lot of red flags
Yes.
to be worried about.
I think maybe what they're trying to do is like something similar to what the Vikings have done with Brian Flores. And it's just like, if we can create enough chaos up front and the quarterback doesn't really know what they're seeing, the Vikings have had very questionable cornerback rooms going into the season for a couple of years now, and it's worked for them because they've had good safety play, and maybe the Dolphins will have good safety play. I don't know. Maybe that's their vision, like the sim pressures, just, they can create turnovers and, try to speed the game up and maybe, and I am a believer that, defensive line is the most important thing to have, and we'll see. We'll see. I think maybe that's something along the lines of their philosophy, and maybe it does turn out better than we expect for that reason. Like they're just getting spoon fed a bunch of opportunities to make plays on the football, and I don't know.
Well, the one thing I noticed about their attack at the safety room was they went for kind of like positionless, coverage fluid guys. They went for Melifonwu, they went for Dante Trader, they went for Ashton Davis. Like these are guys that two of them have played corner in their life in Davis and Trader, and Melifonwu has a really interesting bag of length and athleticism that could potentially be moved to an expanded coverage role. Yeah, it's crazy. So like there might be a chance that they're just trying to, operate with more of like a chess piece style secondary as opposed to just having static two corners here, two safeties here. It might just be more of a rotation.
Yeah,
including the safeties.
And I think Weaver is a guy that you would like, especially for those chess pieces. Maybe we're playing safeties in the nickel. Maybe Kohu goes outside, and that makes you feel a little better because he's not a bad coverage guy. He's the best coverage guy in our cornerback room for sure.
Yeah.
So I could absolutely see that, and I don't know if we're going to talk about Minka, but
that's last.
Okay.
Yeah. That's coming up right now, actually. I'm kind of tired of, because I see a lot of Dolphins, TikTok creators, Twitter people, like they're trying to tear him down. They're like showing videos of him. They're like, this guy is slow. This guy is fat. This guy is useless. But like Minka Fitzpatrick is still a very valuable safety. Like regardless of if he's, a hair slower, he's still one of the best safeties in the league. So like, I would be really excited about it. I don't know what the complaints are about.
Yeah, I mean, people, they see that he hasn't picked off many passes and, not as big of a part of typical steal or splash plays that we see so often in the last 2 years or so. But, he's still a very, very good tackler, very good working downhill. He doesn't miss many of those. And I think that was like the biggest problem on our defense last season was the safeties were missing tackles from Javon Holland to Jordan Poyer. And he absolutely addresses that need in maybe the biggest way possible. So that's probably the thing I'm most excited about with him, and sideline to sideline as that center fielder. Yeah, he had some moments last year where you're like, man, maybe the best safety in the game prevents that completion, and maybe he's not the best coverage guy anymore. But the ball skills, the IQ, the tenacity, the technique is still all there. He's 28 years old. Like, why are we acting like he's Bobby Wagner at the safety position?
Yeah. I, as a Bengals fan, I was actually getting so tired of him. So I do appreciate you guys taking him.
Let's go.
And this was a good deal for me. So thank you.
I remember that. Was he the one who like blocked?
Don't
the
say
kick?
it. Don't say it. I'll see. No, he actually picked off Burrow earlier in that game for a pick six. No, that was actually two separate. I
remember that.
Yeah, he picked him off for a pick six and then blocked the extra point to win the game. It was basically beat us by himself. It was actually horrific. So thank you for that. I think to think about that all week.
Fitzpatrick's the kind of guy too that I feel like they kind of need back there, like somebody that could really be a leader for what is now a very inexperienced, and there is no leader in the cornerback room right now. There really is no one else in the safety room you could kind of point to and say you're going to be kind of the lead of this pack. But now Fitzpatrick can be that. And I mean, that's what he was for Pittsburgh. And there is a massive debate like going on Twitter about like who is more washed. Like, is Jalen Ramsey more washed or is Minka Fitzpatrick more washed? And it's like both sides of the coin are pointing at the other and saying he's more washed. No, he's worse. And it's like, yeah, both guys might not be at the pinnacle of their career anymore, but I do think I guess I can't say that for the Steelers because I still am very confused from their perspective. But at least from the perspective of the Dolphins, you could kind of spin it in a way where they did need the safety help, arguably just as much as maybe the corner help. And I don't know. I mean, who's more washed? I guess that's something time will tell us, but I really don't think either team won. It was like one of the biggest trades as far as names go that I've seen in a long time, and it somehow didn't really help either of them. Like no needle moved at all.
Yeah. Like both have wide open holes still at like pretty important positions. So it's just, I think Miami is the only one that like seriously upgraded a starting position at free safety, because Johnny's still like a backup tight end kind of now. Like he's going to rotate with Muth, but like they traded their, the leader of their defense for a rotational tight end in a corner that they might move to safety. Like it's strange.
Yeah, no,
it's really strange.
That Steelers offseason is just one of the most confusing off seasons. They're just trying to get talent and like we'll see what they can scrap together. I don't think that's a particularly creative coaching staff. So I'd be far more confident that Anthony Weaver has a plan than Arthur Smith or Terrell Austin, if we're being completely honest. Like, and the Dolphins really liked Minkah. Like Brian Flores was really the guy that forced them to trade him away in the first place. But like Chris Greer was the one who drafted him. He liked him, and they're happy to have him back. Like I don't doubt that one bit. This is a guy that they really got intentionally, and they have a plan for it. I do have faith. Minkah is going to have he's not going to have an even worse year than he just had.
No.
Anything,
this is where he bounces back, I think.
No.
Yeah.
I have faith. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I feel like Fitzpatrick kind of, I wouldn't say he fell off at the back half of the year. Like he had his moments, but like we can also point to TJ Watt, who seemingly disappeared from a big time pass rush perspective toward the end of the season too. Like the Steelers got rolled in that game against the Ravens. Like clearly they were outmatched in almost every regard, but Fitzpatrick gets dealt and all of a sudden he fell off. But it's like the rest of the Steelers defense didn't look particularly great in a lot of moments either. So the more and more I think about it, it does feel like the Dolphins clearly won. Like at first it was like, what the fuck is even the point? Now it's like, yeah, okay. I guess I can kind of see it from the Dolphins perspective and I kind of appreciate it a little bit more, I guess. But yeah, it just was so random. Like I pick up my phone. I'm like, what am I even reading? Like it felt like I like loaded up Madden 25 and I saw like two dumbasses in my franchise mode, like make some random trade because one has like a different X factor. Like what am I even doing?
I'm just like, how did that phone call even go down? Like I think it was Arthur Smith wanted Jonnu, and I think that's where it started. Like I remember Schefter dropped that tweet like a month ago, and he's like, the Steelers are trying to trade for Jonnu Smith. I was like, all right, and Ramsey was trying to get dealt. I thought he was going to be a Ram for sure. Like to me, that was connect the dots. They don't draft a corner. They need a corner. They love Ramsey. It wasn't a bitter ending whatsoever. And then it comes together and Chris Greer's like, can you give us Minkah? And they're like, sure.
Yeah.
I would love to be a fly on the wall for those calls. Cause
I mean, like all they were talking about for Ramsey was like he wants to go West Coast, warm weather, like he wants to live in LA. How's Pittsburgh sound, man?
Blue collar franchise in the league.
Yeah, God, they're gonna eat him up. That's terrible for him.
This is a perfect example of like how not as far off NFL front offices are from like a fantasy football league to an extent.
Yeah.
Like they make it seem like it's so high level, it's so intense, but it's like this probably, like Nikki, you were kind of saying, like the way this went down was probably, oh hey, what would you do for this player? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, all right, well I'll throw him in, but like I also want him. He's like, no, but like what about me? Like that's probably how it went. Like and that's how fantasy football trades go. It's like I want him. It's like no. It's like what about him? It's like
It's like a trade for Jonnu Smith turns into a franchise altering trade in dynasty mode, like in fantasy.
Yeah.
Yes,
For
exactly.
absolutely no reason.
I missed this season,
Yeah, and that's how you get like
And then all of a
screenshots
sudden-
of fantasy football trades where there's like 6 players on each side. It's like you're just flipping teams at that point. Like, what do you even? What do you
Yeah,
even
I
do?
have done that.
counter offer. Screw it.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, we're talking about having faith in this team. The win total for this team is set at 8.5 games officially. Do you take the over, or are you taking the under on 8.5 wins for your Miami Dolphins?
I'm probably gonna take the under.
Oh no!
I'm probably gonna take the under. I think the talent is still there in a lot of places, but I think like you just have to reasonably project injuries and bad players to get on the field, especially on the offensive line. Like, a lot of those guys are shaky. We'll see with Daniels, for example. Is Eichenberg going to be on the field? I don't know. Borum, is he going to be on the field? I don't know. Like, they addressed their problems, but I think this was more of an off season for this gives us more flexibility and we're retooling the team in a different direction, moving forward. And I think that this was also kind of off season that showed me like Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer are no longer in win at all cost mode. And maybe they have more job security. And maybe this is just like a season that the doctor ordered. So I'm not completely convinced that like they're doing everything that they can to go over that win total. And
yeah,
I'll take the under. I think 7 or 8 would probably be my expectation, especially with like the Patriots rising. For me, I'm like, we're not going to be able to sweep them anymore. And, I want to pull up their schedule. Actually, I forget which divisions we have on the schedule this year.
I think it's
NFC South. Okay. And that's not bad at all. And
the schedule seems pretty winnable. Honestly, looking at it, like there's a few teams here and there, but like there's stretches of like Saints, Jets, like even like you'll play the Steelers. You got like Browns, Panthers, Jets.
Okay, yeah, it's AFC North.
Yeah,
it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. I think 7 to 9 wins is like my realistic range, but just because I know this team isn't like fighting to the death to make the playoffs anymore, I'll take the under and say if they get like 7 or 8.
Yeah. Cave, your thoughts?
Oh,
as a rival fan,
it's very tough. I mean, of course, just this isn't even as a Bills fan talking. It's just they always notoriously just lose to Buffalo. So they got to get swept there. But it's like, and then the Jets, like, what the hell to think about the Jets? Like,
bad.
Yeah, bad, but almost like, why wouldn't I can't sit here and say confidently that they wouldn't give the Dolphins a fight either. So
I'd be pretty surprised if they won more than 3 games in the AFC East.
The Dolphins?
The Dolphins, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh, that stinks.
But like,
I think it's possible. Like, I don't know. There is such an upside too, though, to this team. But that's just barring, like you said, health. It's health. It's availability. It's requiring a few really young, inexperienced people to step up, which is like a hard thing to ask for. Combining that with like that praying for health. So yeah, I see taking the under.
I think I will go under. Like, to go over, you not only have to stay consistent in winning the games that you probably should win, which is already going to be a tall task for them, but you probably also have to steal one from a team that you are likely a 4 to 5 point underdog against. Like, you do get the Bengals, you get the Bills, you get the Ravens. Like, the Chargers are even an uphill battle, I would say. I mean, hell, the Bucks are on the schedule too. The Steelers, I would probably call them underdogs against. That's tough.
Yeah. And
like, no, they got this. They got to beat the Steelers. Please. I can't. I think they got it. I think
it'll look better early in the year. Like, their schedule is easier. I think they could get off to like that 5-3 start, little cushion, and then a tougher stretch late in the year, which, maybe they have a better time going up to Pittsburgh this time around with guys like Kenneth Grant and
heck yeah, I like that.
And Minka Fitzpatrick revenge game.
Yeah,
2 picks off of Rodgers. That would fire me up.
I mean, last time they had Rob Jones and Liam Eichenberg starting
Yeah.
at guard. Like this is a different team in a different way. Like take away some secondary, add some beef up front. Like it might just look a little different, but I can still see a scenario where this team is still pretty darn solid.
Yeah, no, and I think that they did get worse in the right areas and get better in the right areas. I think like football's won and lost in the trenches, and that's been a brutal awakening for them, as much skill position as they've stacked over the years. So that probably raises the floor and raises the ceiling. So
yeah,
it's fundamental football, you know.
Yeah. Well, my final question for you is I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on your opinion on Tua, so that's enough of talking about him. But Mike McDaniel, do you think his seat is hot? Like, what kind of season does he have to have for him to really feel like his job is secure? And like, let's say the season is like under 8.5 wins, like you suggested. Would Mike McDaniels really be feeling the heat?
I think no. I think Mike McDaniel's seat isn't as hot as some people would like to think. I think all he has to avoid is like 6-11, like 5-12, like really, really bad season. But if they're hanging around, I think he's going to be safe. And I think really this offseason has made me believe that more. Like the fact that they're not giving out extensions to guys like Jonnu Smith, like they're trying to trade all the vets that they've built their team around for the last few years. Like I feel like there was some sort of talk between him and Greer and Stephen Ross where they were like, you know, we've reached the ceiling and now we've got to take a step back, gain more flexibility. We'll try to be more physical, try to develop more young guys. I mean, they have a lot of draft picks coming up. Like I think they have some of the most draft capital in the league in the next 2 drafts. So I think there is there's a vision here that doesn't align with people desperate to save their jobs. Like they have a lot of picks and they have a lot of young players. So I think they have a little more security than people on the outside would expect for a guy who hasn't won a playoff game in 3 years and a GM who hasn't won a playoff game ever.
Chris Greer.
So, do you think he should be feeling heat in your opinion?
Chris Greer?
No, McDaniel.
Chris Greer, yeah.
I do. I think both of them should be feeling heat. But I do have to give them credit. I think that from that, when the clock hit 0 against the Jets to now, they've done a lot. They've done a lot of things that I'm pleased with. Besides trading Tyreek, that would really get me fired up. I'm like, man, they're serious about changing the culture. That's like the one thing I'm waiting on to be like, okay, yeah, no, the Dolphins are headed in a completely different direction moving forward. But I definitely do think that they are going to adapt in a way that a lot of the fan base hoped for them to. As easy as it is to poke fun at like the Darren Waller signing.
Yeah.
Well, as long as Jason Sanders is still your longest tenured Dolphin.
Hey,
I don't know if the page is turning anytime soon. That guy needs to learn how to kick longer. That's my last take.
You mean farther?
Farther, longer. Whatever.
Well, they did gain Ryan Stonehouse, the punter, who could punt it farther than anybody on earth. So I think that matches up for it.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's really all we have for you, Nico. If you have any closing thoughts, any final disclosures you want to make on your team before you roll into the season?
I mean, what I will say is that I'm not particularly excited for this year. I am excited about all the draft capital we have and the young players that we've brought in this year. So I'm kind of more watching the Dolphins for the prospects of a successful rebuild than the prospects of our first playoff win this year. I would much rather them get closer to a rebuild than that, because I know that they're not going to win a playoff game with this roster. And I don't know if that's a lame way to go. But I'm just thinking down the road, and I'm not thinking as much about this year. But this year I'll be watching the things that can help us closer to 2030. So,
yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's how you stay mentally healthy and happy. If you're
absolutely.
not expecting too much, then you can enjoy the games maybe a little bit more. But I know that all too well, as being a Sabres fan specifically. Forget the fucking Bills. The Sabres make me want to cry and die inside. But Austin, as long as you have no other thoughts or comments, we will wrap it up there. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share. Be sure you're checking out all of Nico's social medias down in the description below. All of our social medias will be down there as well. Thank you, Nico, again for taking time to join us. This was a blast of an episode. It went just as smoothly as I figured it would. But also, our Discord is down in the description below. I keep forgetting to fucking say
Plug
that.
it.
Plug it. So if you're interested in talking ball or salad or dressing, you can you can join down below, and we will see you in episode 44.